What do you make of the so-called bad popes argument against Catholicism? And so the basic gist of it is that there's some really bad popes in the history of Catholicism, and that's not necessarily something that we would expect to find if God had established a church like this. And this isn't necessarily meant as like a knockdown proof against Catholicism, but it does, I think, provide some evidence that Catholicism may not be true. What are your thoughts on this argument?
No, not at all. I mean, to me, that's just in line with our doctrine of original sin. I mean, that people go bad, they tend to go bad. I take that for granted, and that doesn't exclude popes. So, for example, the teaching authority of a pope, the pope's infallibility when under very strict circumstances articulating the church's teaching, that's a whole different question from his moral rectitude. I mean,
Right.
you have the worst person in the world, but he's still playing the role the pope should play as the one who adjudicates doctrinal disputes and so on. So no, to me, it doesn't tell a thing against Catholicism. That people go bad, I take for granted.
Let's take it to the extreme. Suppose that every pope was really just morally awful. Would that provide any evidence at that point? Or would you still say, well, no, that's original sin leads us to think that people would be bad? Is there any kind of threshold that would...
No, go back to Peter. How do you assess St. Peter morally? I mean, I'd assess him as a pretty mixed bag. You know, he's good and bad. And all right, he sets the tone for all the papacy. I mean, there's something beautiful about him, and there's something deeply fallen and compromised. And he denied the Lord 3 times at the moment of truth. He's the first pope. You know, so no, that doesn't surprise me or set up really any conflict in my mind at all.